What's going on, everybody? So I had an early day from work today. As you can see, I still got my reflective gear on. I don't know if you can hear the rain on the roof, but that's the reason why. Anyways, I decided that I might try and get a little bit of work done on bird. It's been sitting neglected for a couple weeks now because, well, I've been busy. I ripped the door off and it's pretty much time to repeat the process of the driver's side over here. Now, you can see this hinge area is definitely in far worse condition than the driver's was, and it also pitted way up, so I might end up replacing up here. Now the rocker, I thought this was solid, turns out it wasn't. I went on Michael Myers in the front half here, and you can see my screwdriver just kept going through till I got about right here. That's where I started hitting solid metal. And all the way back was good. Now I do got some pitting here. Same on the face here. But like I said, it is solid. Well, I was hoping to not replace this entire rocker panel, and I still am. Now, I'm not sure due to the pitting back there. Like I said, it was solid. It passed the screwdriver test, but we don't know for sure. So I'm probably gonna end up cutting some access holes in the inner rocker so I can look inside and get a better idea of the condition of the metal. Because that pitting right there is a little deep. Now, if that's my only spot of major concern, I can probably repair that little area, but we'll see. And this is what I plan to use. I have some donor parts here from that front cowl section. Here's the front rocker corner. It's about 1 inch too short, but we can stretch that out with some sheet metal. And here is the hinge pillar area from that car, and it's in really good shape. Little surface rust there, nothing major though. So I'm definitely going to be using this to repair the hinge area. Now, hopefully this will get me by. Hopefully I do not have to buy a new outer rocker for this side. If I do, oh well, it is what it is. But you know, we're going to cross the fingers on this one. Got good news. The rocker panel is definitely solid. There's not a speck of rust on the inside. This is all exterior right here. Now, this area, there's rust, and there's a little bit of surface rust in this area. You guys are gonna have to take my word for it. It's a little hard to get in there and show you, but as you can see, I have my access windows cut. And as you can also see, there's the culprit for the front half. Good old rat's nest hiding in there. So I'm definitely gonna save this rocker. We're gonna replace the front portion. You can see here on my used section, it comes like just there. Now hopefully the metal's good enough. If not, I will possibly take some of this. This is 16 gauge. And make a patch and bridge the gap. We'll see. We'll take it on as we go. Worst case scenario, I do see they sell like those slip-on patch rockers that I can possibly take and cut and weld in, depending on the gauge of the steel. I got to do a little research on that. But for right now, the route I'm going to go is reusing the stock steel. So now, let's get this marked out and cut. All right, so I can't even really even see the spot welds here. So I'm just gonna get my cutoff wheel and I'm gonna grind this down till it's very thin, so I know for a fact when I hit it with the chisel, they're gonna pop free. I did try and hit it with a wire brush, and if you can see right there, it just broke right through. That wasn't even showing. There's no surface rust on the top side in this little area. but from the inside, it rotted right out. Well, now it's time for me to start removing the front portion of this rocker panel. And I'm gonna go about it the same way I did on the other side. I'm gonna cut a window right here in the front. I can easily clean out all the junk that's in there. And these lower welds, it's gonna be easy for me to separate them with the air hammer that way. Same here, these guys right here, I'll do a little grinding, then hit them with the air hammer. Right here, this little panel right behind. Yeah, I gotta get those. Those were a little tricky on the other side, just because this was in the way. But we'll get it done the same way we did over there. So I went ahead and I started cutting out this rocker brace. As you can see, it's loose. I think there's a little spot weld on this panel holding it, but a couple twists, it should break free. There it is. Well, we're slowly taking more and more away from this bird, but I went ahead. This is from that donor cow I had. I filled in a couple holes here because, as you see how it tore there with the air hammer on the piece, I did the same thing here. But it wasn't due to this one being soft and thin. It was just because I didn't care. I thought I didn't need it. As you can see, I sliced through it with a sawzall there too. But anyways, I was going to replace it as a whole, but I decided to section it. Still got to trim that little piece off, or just cut the inner rocker, one or the other. I might just trim this off and use that as a backer to help line this thing up, get it clamped into place, etc. But now this is really thin. Look how pitted that is. That was a rot hole, and that was a rot hole. I made those holes. But I cut it all the way up to it was good metal. There's some surface rust there, but nothing bad. That's going to end up being a template. So I went ahead and I got the replacement panel clamped into place. Now it's time. I'm going to go around and I'm just going to put a couple tacks to hold it in place. Then I'm going to start working on fitting the rocker. Once I know that I got the rocker good and that the door is going to line up nice, I'll come back, I'll fully burn this in, and then we'll burn the rocker in on top. I got this rocker panel cut, fitted, and ready to burn in. Now I figured I wouldn't bore you guys with the process. It was just trimming, so on and so forth. But as you can see, it's all clamped in place. I got the door hung, got it aligned perfect, it's closing great. The reason you see that jack there is when I cut this off, The entire rocker actually came down a little bit. The length dimensions this way stayed the same, but the rocker came down. So I just jacked it up a little bit. It only dropped like 1/8 of an inch, so it's not bad. Now you can see the gap is pretty much perfect and uniform all the way throughout. It's lining up nice with the edge of the door. I did pull a measurement on the length of the rocker end to end, and that was 61 5/16. And I have it exactly at 61 5/16 on the money. Now my gap here looks good. Gets a little tight here, but pretty much what I'm gonna do is, like I always do, I take the cutoff wheel and I'll just cut into that and we'll go from there. It's only gonna have one little weld right there that goes to that brace. Everything else I'm gonna leave be because we're changing the inner rockers on this too. Now I'm not gonna weld it up there yet either because I'm probably gonna cut this guy out and section a piece from the used panel that's in better shape, because that's pretty thin. So I went ahead, I pretty much tacked everything in place. I also made an additional patch here because this panel wasn't long enough to take care of all the rust area that this rocker had. I just needed to do a small little 2x2 patch right here, and now we're good. So now we're at the point where we're gonna weld this in fully. I checked all my measurements. Here's a couple of my height measurements to this bar, to the top of the rockers here. Those are good. I had to put my jack on the floor to raise the floor because, as I stated earlier, it did drop down 1/8 of an inch. But again, the door's fitting great. The gap looks excellent. This is nice and flush. So let's get this burned in now. Now I do apologize for the camera angle because, well, I can't really find a good one. I'd have to remove the door to get you guys a better view, and I'm just not gonna do that right now. I'm sorry. It definitely would have been way easier for me to just replace the rocker panel as a whole, but I do enjoy doing the metal work, and I find the time invested pleasing. Some might not, but this is what I enjoy about projects like this. Pretty much all burned in. I got the welds along the back side there from the inside of the car. Actually, I'll show you guys. Nothing's been dressed yet. Welds look a little funky, but remember guys, a grinder will always make you the welder you're not. It's that galvanized coating. It gets off a little white soot when it's burned. So when you are welding on this stuff, be careful, be in a ventilated area, because that is definitely not good for your health. But I pretty much got to go along, dress all these welds. I'm not going to do that right now at this moment. I'm going to keep moving forward. Give you guys another look. There's the gap. She looks good. Nice and consistent all the way. I checked my measurements from my level. I'm pulling all the same measurements from before. Gap is even throughout. The overlap from the door and the rocker this way is the same throughout. My measurement from the bar to the top of the rocker on the money, lengthwise on the money. So now we're gonna move forward and we're gonna get the door off of this thing, and then I gotta start cutting into this. I got the old piece here. Gonna use that as a template, get it off. We're gonna cut it bigger than we need, probably about 1/8 of an inch larger, just some room to grind and get a perfect fit. Now I do gotta be a little delicate. I gotta find the spot welds and drill them. Now once I remove that, the actual next phase is I am gonna take this brace, this lower brace here, I'm gonna cut it and I'm gonna section it onto this car, because the one this on here it's pretty thin. I don't like it. So that's why I do not have any of the welds going up into here. So we're gonna cut that, section in the new piece. Well, I left my impact upstairs doing some work in the house. So we're gonna have to do this one by hand. It's no big deal. It's actually a nice day here. Surprisingly, it's been very cold lately. Well, it get warm, then get cold. Messes with your emotions. I haven't got none of the other cars out of the garage yet. I did fix the Camaro though. I'm not sure if I ever said the problem with that car. Took it out for a ride one day and well, it died on me. And it wouldn't crank back up, and then an hour later it started like there was never nothing wrong with it, which pretty much led me to believe it was a crank sensor. So I put that in there. Now we just got to test drive it and make sure that we actually fixed the issue. If the weather continues to stay this way, I'll probably be doing that next weekend. I do want to get out and get that thing to like a Cars and Coffee. All right, so you can see there's all my welds. But the game plan here now, once I cut the good piece off of there, you got to start cutting here. And the reason being is, let me get a light. Not sure how well you guys can see. You can see right there. It's rotted right through. It's extremely thin in this corner right here. There's no pinholes other than that, but we do got some severe pitting. Now, what I think may have caused this was simply the window channel. I think all the moisture was getting in over the years, weeped down, and just sat right in this area. And that's pretty much what rotted this out. As with, you know, all the other cars, it's a very common spot for these. That's why there's a patch panel that exists. They wouldn't make it if it wasn't common, right? So I ended up just removing the entire hinge plate area from this as a whole. It wasn't much work. It was just 4 spot welds with these 2 top ones weren't even holding. But anyways, I was toying with the idea of just, instead of cutting and splicing in the bottom portion of this, just replace it as a whole. but not sure you can see that. The threads in this hinge plate are pretty much shot. So we're going back to the original idea, and we're just gonna cut and splice. These are my lines. The bad area is really right here, this whole side. This half of it is pretty good. Now this area here on there is a little thin. There's some pack rust in it. I haven't tried to grind it out because, well, I'm just gonna cut it and replace it as a whole, even though it looks good. It's easier. It's gonna be an easier weld. Just, you know, come up just like that. I'm gonna drop a couple tacks on this, then a couple screws going up from the bottom so that when I weld it, it doesn't warp out of place for me. All right, now this piece is now done. I burned it into the rocker. You see a little stitch there. I also did the welds inside as well. Now it's time to move on to this inner panel, this inner cowl shoulder right here. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make my cut. You can kind of see my line right there. It's just a straight line across and a straight line down. And I have 1, 2, 5 spot welds that I need to cut. And I'm gonna do it all with my cutoff wheel. All right, so I know I said the first thing I was gonna do is rebuild this, but I started thinking and I went ahead off camera and I got the replacement panel cut and I got it cut to fit where it needs to be. Now there is some little tweaking here and there that needs to be done. I gotta do some work down here on these little flanges coming off of the rocker cap. Now this, I did also get it to where it fits pretty good. There's just a little bit more trimming to get done, but next step here is, like I said, it's time to rebuild this little flange. Now, here I got a little piece of metal I just cut with some tin snips. Definitely way more than I need. I'm gonna tack that in, grind it flat so it could sit. Cut it down to a normal size. And then we'll drill some holes. Get it in here and weld, because this, I have to weld this before this or else I won't be able to get in here. But I wanted this in place to kind of help give me a guideline when trimming the fit and making sure everything fits the way it should. What is So with that said, let's get this little tab burned in and let's start working on getting this fit. Now before I weld everything, I am gonna have to wire brush and treat the entire inner structure between here That little brace that we repaired going to the top of the rocker, the inside of this patch panel. Well, the cowl shoulder patch is officially burned in. We got our spot welds right there done up. Those came out nice. These didn't come out that great, but they're still good penetration. Now, I didn't bother recording it because, well, honestly, I couldn't get the proper angle to show you guys the process without me just being in the way blocking it. So I just went ahead, knocked it out. There it is. Here's the final result. All welds have been dressed. I didn't get too crazy inside the inner cowl shoulder because it's going to be covered and never will be seen. Getting ready to throw some cheap paint on it just so it doesn't flash rust. Eventually, when all the metal work is done, the car will be stripped to bare steel, so all this paint will be removed, including what I'm going to be spraying on it. But there it is, all repaired. Now we're finally at the point where we can place our jack stands underneath the rocker, get the floor cut out, and start working on those torque boxes.